What's up, guys? This is what snorting cocaine is like. Again, this video isn't to glamorize cocaine. I'm a recovering cocaine addict. This is to share with you my experience of what snorting cocaine was like. It was a drug that literally had ruined my life, and there's a lot of stigma around cocaine. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, hit the like and subscribe button. My channel is all about mental health, mental illness, suicide awareness, sobriety, having a little bit of fun, but most importantly, making sure that nobody goes through life alone. Snorting cocaine. What is it like? So, cocaine is something that I was very, very attracted to. I ended up having a huge problem when it came to anything that I could literally snort. So I've snorted Xanax, I've snorted Adderall, I've snorted cocaine, I've snorted meth. That was on accident, but I have snorted a lot of drugs out there, and cocaine was one, though, that was my drug of choice. Snorting cocaine for me had even a placebo effect. First off, there's a lot of stigma that goes around with cocaine because cocaine isn't quite looked at the same way that meth is looked at. It's not looked at the same way that heroin is looked at, or even what opiates or benzos are looked at. Cocaine is looked at as almost that party drug. And that's what really drove into my brain that it was okay what I was doing. I mean, I blew so much money on cocaine. It was ridiculous. I was doing 1 to 2 8 balls a day. For you that don't know, I mean, that's 3.5 grams of coke minimum a day. And if you weigh out what 3.5 grams is, that's a lot of coke when you actually go into a powder form. So what snorting cocaine is like, first off, there's a lot of different types of cocaine, and I really truly mean that there are a lot of different types of cocaine because I don't think there was really a pure cocaine out there that I ever really came across. You have different colors in it. It depended on the dealer. It depended on, everybody had the good shit. Yeah, the good shit, bad shit, whatever shit, I put it up my nose. My excitement came just from the fact of even holding it, of having an 8 ball, knowing that I was going to get high, knowing that it was going to numb everything for me. It was going to release all that dopamine in my brain and make me feel good. The problem was when it made me feel good, I fucked up everything around me. And I fucked it up in a lot of ways because my give a shit level went to about a 0. No, actually probably less than that, probably about a -50. So snorting cocaine, laying it out on the plate, if it was chunky, if it was a little bit wet, you would hot plate it. So you'd warm up the plate so it would end up actually crumbling. If you had the hot plate stuff, you knew it was probably not that good and it was cut really bad, but I didn't care. And that's what the obsession with cocaine was for me. I did not give a shit. I would do whatever it took to put this up my nose because I wanted to get high one way or another. So snorting cocaine, once you would lay it out, I would do lines or rails, whatever you want to call them. And mine would be 3 inches long, roughly, at least. I mean, mine would take up sometimes the whole plate. I would put as much of it up my nose as possible, as quickly as possible, because I wanted that high. I wanted that rush. So as soon as it went up my nose, you could literally feel the numbness hit as it went. So it would go up. It always had kind of a chlorine-ish, gasoline-ish taste to it. And that's also has to do with the chemicals that they cut the drug with. So you have to remember, I mean, you're putting something into your body that isn't natural. And if you believe, oh, it's just from the cocoa leaves, no, there's a process that goes to actually producing this drug. So you are putting in harmful chemicals into your body. As it would go up my nose, it would make my nose numb. I would feel it up into my sinuses. I would instantly get a drip. So I would start to feel the sinuses almost kind of build up, and I'd feel the liquid just starting to drip from my sinus cavities down into my throat. And it would be like this huge breath of fresh air. And it was like all of a sudden my Superman cape was on. And now all of a sudden my teeth are starting to go numb. My gums are starting to go numb. Next thing you know, my jaw is starting to clench up. And being ADHD, that's when also it was like this cape came over my head and my focus went from all over the place to even more zoomed in. And I think that's part of what spurred the addiction for me so much, is what it did in my head is it slowed me down instead of speeding me up. You'd get the taste of the cocaine in your mouth. You'd have that aftertaste. Your nose, it'd burn a little bit maybe if it was mixed really bad. Next thing you know, it's burning very badly. If you snorted meth, it feels like you just put glass shards up your nose. you feel it starting to drip into your throat. You start to try and maybe breathe a little bit, and chunks of it sometimes would fall out of your nose. So you end up sitting there and picking it up. And yeah, just like any fucking addict, I mean, this is when addiction gets really bad. You're on the ground trying to find out what the fuck fell out of your nose, taking those little crystals and you're putting it back into your mouth. You're rubbing it on your gums just to get it into your system. And it became this chasing the dragon high for me. It became, yes, I was high. I mean, if you do a line of coke, you are instantly going to feel that rush of adrenaline, that rush, that surge. Your heart rate increases. You lose all appetite. You get very, very dry mouth. So I would end up drinking a lot while I was doing coke because I'm just going to get fucked up. And it reduced the effects that I felt of the alcohol. So having that into my system, I'm mixing alcohol with the cocaine. Heart rate is up huge, hardcore. It would get to the point sometimes that I would be sweating, my shirt's off. I'm completely like naked in my underwear walking around the house because I'm sweating so bad because my body is temperature has increased so much from that heart rate that next thing you know, I'm afraid I'm going to lose this high, even though I'm not. The normal sane person's going to look and be like, dude, you're sweating fucking bullets. You are literally taking paper towel and wetting it down and snorting it up your nose to clear out your sinuses so you don't get that cold the next day where your sinuses and your noses are all blown out. So I would take water and I put it under, I take a paper towel or I take tissue and I put it under the water and snort the water through. Again, I mean, that's how bad the addiction got, and you don't realize it because it's cocaine. It's not heroin, and you start making up those excuses in your head, even though this drug still does amazingly horrible things to you. And it's a party drug, though. It's a party drug, and you don't really hear of people dying from cocaine. You don't hear of cocaine users who are homeless underneath an overpass using cocaine. Well, no, because most likely they probably have moved on to crack, which is a lot cheaper. And that is the stigma that goes around with that drug of like, hey, dude, it's okay. It's only cocaine. But for me, my lift pass never ended. I wanted to go skiing all day, every day, and I did. And again, spent a phenomenal amount of money on this drug. And that alone helped ruin my life some. Because you look back and you go, oh my God, how much money did I spend? What could I have done with my life? I mean, I literally lost a good 1.5 years of my life to this drug. Snorting it, though, I couldn't stop. As soon as that high hit, as soon as I started to calm down, I started to kind of get that itch, and it would kind of be flinching. And it depended on who I did cocaine with. If I was doing cocaine with a girl, the desire for sex went up tremendously. The ability to have sex went down tremendously the more and more that I did it, because let's face it, even though your heart rate's up, your blood flow is going, at a certain point, because of how much cocaine I would do, none of your guy parts are working. So it led to me mixing more and more drugs together, and even stuff that was prescription drugs like Viagra or Cialis. So now I have a combination of a blood thinner medication in a sense. I have a combination of alcohol and I have a combination of cocaine. I mean, all mixed together. And that was the problem with cocaine is it expanded to what else I was going to start popping into my body to get what other effects and feelings I wanted. And as soon as I remotely in my head, after about 5-10 minutes went by, instantly went, oh my God, I'm going to lose my high. I have to do more. And it would become obsessive about it. I mean, I would think I was smart and I would hide the baggies and shit. And I didn't even get it in baggies. I got it in paper. The 8 balls would come to me in paper and they'd be folded up. And the reason they were in paper is because afterwards I'd be eating the paper because I didn't want to waste any of this shit. That's how bad, again, it really gets. But in my own head, I'm thinking to myself, oh, it's only cocaine. Look at all the Hollywood actors and stars and everybody that does it. It's the rich man's drug. Bullshit, dude. It's the fucking ruin your life drug. It was that obsessive that 5-10 minutes went by, I'm doing another huge ass line. And that's how quickly and how easily it was for me to go through an 8 ball, because every 5-10 minutes I had to do more. I had to do more because I didn't want to lose that high. So it became very, very, very obsessive. Again, putting tons of stress on my heart. There are people that can die essentially from the overdose, especially when you're mixing in other shit. Especially if I would have gotten to the point that I started mixing in any kind of benzos with it, I would have been fucked. I wouldn't be here right now making a video. But that was also, in another sense, my comfort blanket. And that's what addiction is. I mean, it was my comfort blanket. I needed it in my life. It made everything better. And it escalated all my senses better. And it really didn't escalate any of my senses better because I was very, very numb. I mean, when you do it, your mouth does, in a sense, go numb. Your mouth is very, very dry. Your nose is dripping nonstop. And you're not feeling, but in your head, you're like, oh my God, I am alive. I am alive. It's like somebody took a defibrillator and went poof, and just gave you that shock to the heart. Man, I'm alive. That was the rush I had gotten from cocaine. It, again, was the scariest drug I ever did because I just didn't want to stop ever. Like, I didn't want to stop. And it's still the drug that scares me the most because I know that if it was around me in any way, shape, or form, I'd want to do it because that was my desire, my love for this drug, that I wanted to continue to do it. And it didn't matter how much it cost because, you know what, the high was more important. That's all I wanted. All I wanted was that high. And waking up the next morning, feeling it into your nose and feeling what it's done to your sinuses and that you can't breathe and you're breathing out of your mouth, it didn't stop me. I mean, I'm sitting there blowing out my nose. Also, when it got to that point where you're almost pretty much blacked out and you remember those bits and pieces, I mean, I remember picking shit off the carpet and I'm creating new lines, and it has dog hair in it, it has pieces of dirt in it, it has a little bit of cocaine in it, and I'm snorting that back up my nose. I mean, that's how shitty of a situation it becomes. So, I mean, anybody that's struggling out there with cocaine, there is some stigma around it because, again, people are like, oh, it's not heroin, it's not benzos, it's not, you know, you're not popping pills. I mean, even alcoholics look at it a little bit differently. But I understand the struggle. That's why there is some Cocaine Anonymous meetings out there. Also with NA, I mean, get involved in sobriety. I will say this, it hasn't fixed everything for me, but I do feel a lot more alive than I ever did doing the biggest and most amount of coke that I could ever do. I feel that I can actually enjoy life again instead of needing this false pretense that this is what's going to make me feel alive. So if you're struggling out there, I mean, down in the description box, I do have links to NA. I do have links to AA. Reach out and get some help. And believe me, it's a struggle, but it is one that's worth it. I'll even go through and do a video more on my detox of what it was like detoxing off of heroin, not off of heroin. I never did heroin. That's one of the few drugs actually I never did. But what my detox was off of cocaine, because there was a detox to it. Hit the like and subscribe button. Comment down below. I'd love to hear your input on it. In the description box is links to all my social media. There's links to the mental health Discord communities that are created of peer-to-peer support. And the whole goal of bridging the gap between a therapist and a crisis hotline and sharing experiences, tools, and resources so that nobody goes through life alone. Because you're an amazing human being. You're a BAMF. You're a badass motherfucker. You made it through 100% of your worst days, make it through 2 today. And together we got this. So hit that like and subscribe button. Let's do this.